Good evening, Free Enterprise. Welcome to our Monday night community race. I am Vavalis Skunk, and I am joined by Hupfin. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. Looking forward to our runners looking for the Holy Pink Grail, which means they are looking for the pink tail to trade it in to win the crystal. Is there anything in particular you would like to see for tonight's seed?
Well, having come off of the football gauntlet and now getting back into our regular community races, I'm glad to see that we have the spoon flag turned back on. I want to see an angry bard.
Angry bards are always fun to watch, and never know. Looks like we're going to have a Rydia start today, and our featured runners, Dark Kobold, Commander Leonhardt, Paladin Aegis, and Rex Raul. And we should be off in just a moment. Hopefully we get a good race tonight. I know these runners are all pretty solid across the board, so going to be interesting to see how they handle this.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how rough this seed ends up being when we only have one objective on our list. This could end up being, we get the hook right out of the gate, and then the pink tail is sitting in the antlion's den, and then it's just how do you grind? Or we may have, an Edward in the front, a Dark Knight Cecil in the bike. We have an interesting start, and this is what I like to see.
So we are starting with a Rydia Edward. That's team 90 HP, because between the two of them they have 90 HP. And we're starting with the hook. Well, that's part of what you need for go mode. You also need a way to the moon to defeat Zeromus, and we need that pink tail. So just going to be kind of looking around for a bit, probably wanting to get some gear and potentially some actual characters to do damage, because Rydia takes a long time to get online, and Edward, without the spoon, isn't the greatest as far as DPS is concerned.
Listen, all we need to do is find the spoon, find a self-summon, find a Bahamut summon, we're good to go.
Definitely true. And we have some divergence right away. Rex Raul looks like he is in Baron Cap.
Yeah, we have kind of neglected to mention that the push B to jump flag is on, so our runners can hop about as they see fit. The Baron key is kind of irrelevant now. We did see a self-summon show up for Paladin Aegis, so hey, that's one part of the equation.
So you want to tell our viewers what push B to jump is?
Well, I mean, it's quite literal. You push B and you jump anywhere at any time, except in the menu. That doesn't make any sense. But in battle, yes, that is a thing you can do. You don't have to be Kane to be a Dragoon anymore.
That's interesting. But I like the fact that Rex used it and is now inside Baron Castle.
Yep, you jump over any sort of one-tile barrier, which a lot of walls in the game are just one-tile barriers, so you can skip out of that and sequence break to your heart's content.
We now have Paladin Aegis going into Hobbs to check that summon for Rydia. In the vanilla game, normally you get a fire spell here. Today it looks like we're getting the mage summon. Does have some use, but not the greatest for Rydia. Oh look, that's a Fu on Dark Kobold's side.
Yep, that's another thing you can jump over is those spots that, check if you have the Earth Crystal, perhaps. And Dark Kobold and Commander Leonhardt have both done that jump, gotten Fu and Cecil out of the deal.
Cecil's a decent pickup, especially if you decide to turn him into a Paladin. That Fu, though, is going to be great. And, oh, look, we're not going to do the bosses here.
I mean, you don't have to.
This is silly, and I love it.
Indeed, it's very silly. And it's also... It creates some potential difficulties because, we do have the Mist Dragon out there. The Mist Dragon Willy Tunitum.
Well, let's hope no one decides to jump over a Mist Dragon tonight. Or do, and that Mist Dragon has Pink Tail. That would be fun.
Oh, it'd be a laugh riot.
So now we have Paladin Aegis going down into Eblon Cave. Dark Kobold looks like he's looting Troya, and Commander Leonhardt is having fun with the jumping in Zot as well, picking up that food.
Yeah, with that hook, we had access to Eblin Cave straight away. That's another spot you can get to prematurely with the jumping. But this is perfectly sound, perfectly in logic, as is that Antlion fight and that Sid hanging out on Hobbs.
Looks like Antlion decided it was time for some migration and just moved over one spot.
Yeah, we're at the time of the year that the Antlions are in their migratory patterns, and it has made them slightly crankier.
It looks like it. The team 90 HP is currently napping on Rex Raoul's side. Paladin Aegis going farther into Eblon Cave, and Dark Kobold looks like he's going to start up the Antlion.
Yep, that is a classic early start, made a little easier with this jumping.
Something is your way, you just jump over it.
Paladin Aegis, I believe, already found and skipped out from the trap chest fight down here, so the rest of his looting should be pretty sound.
It's very, very, very nice. Not knowing where that trap chest is, you can grab all the treasure down here. It is just T standard tonight, so just as much luck getting some decent stuff here as it is the rest of the world, but it's still a very dense location. And that is a ninja on his side.
That is vanilla scenery right there.
Now hold on, that could be elements. We can't give him all the credit yet, Davis.
Scenery. It looks vanilla.
Looks and is are two different things sometimes.
But either way, that edge is definitely vanilla and definitely an asset. Good character to get very early on. Wyvern, bad boss to get early on, or anytime, usually.
But doesn't matter. Fu just straight up dodges the Mega Nuke and then throws the Star Veil. Gambit mentioning in chat, Vanilla Pinktail. I don't think we have enough time and sirens to grind for Vanilla Pinktail.
Yes, those unfamiliar with the pink tail, it is looped into our set of key items, but in the vanilla game, it is an extremely rare drop from an extremely rare enemy very late in the game. You can encourage the encounter with sirens, so you can at least up your odds, but still a very rare drop.
I think it's the 1 in 255 drop from the pink puffs on the moon, which are in one room.
Yep, one spot in the entire lunar subterrane. And it gets you the pink tail, and then you have to come back to Earth to turn it in for an adamant armor.
But it looks like Dark Kobold set up a little bit better for this Wyvern. Gets 2 Star Veils off, he nukes himself, and there we go. Experience on 3 party members, and Rydia deciding it is nap time.
And that is part 2 of our equation. Dark Kobold picks up a spoon.
Well, the spoon is an interesting item. You care to explain why?
Certainly, in the vanilla game, again, it is a weapon that nobody can equip. It has 255 damage, highest damage in the game by far, but nobody can use it. Edge can only throw it, that's all you get. But bards are spoony, so Edward can use it here. And it turns Edward from a fleeting, hapless harp wielder to an indestructible knight. Well, not indestructible, he's still pretty weak, but, does good damage.
with the right setup, Edward with a spoon can do a lot of DPS, and Edward, surprisingly at higher levels, is an extremely fast character.
Yeah, it does run the risk of pretty constantly low HP, though. Starts off low and stays low, and we have turned off apples on this run, so we're not going to beef him up.
Well, there's multiple ways you can make use of the Edward with that. He does have the hide command. You know, normally it's a really annoying command where he just runs away when he takes too much damage. Here, with you having access to hide at some fights that you really weren't supposed to, hide is actually a useful command. So Eddie does have his uses. He still has no HP, don't be mistaken, but he's still a usable character.
And Commander Leonhardt proving that I do not fully understand the flag set, as he just got a gold apple up on the top of Ordeals. I guess they're not in shops only. And fighting a relocated Mylon Z.
Well, we had some vanilla in Eblon Cave. We got to have some French vanilla on Ordeals, and I believe he just jumped over some bosses.
Oh yeah, the two Mylon fights, they just jump over them.
But Mylon's in the crystal room, so we jumped over the other two bosses and don't know what they are. That's going to be interesting. If you jump over some of the bosses and one of those bosses happens to be demist, when do you start demist hunting? Because you're going to have to repeat a whole lot of areas.
Yeah, it's a lot of backtracking that you'll have to do. Plus the fact that you're just doing fewer fights, so you're giving yourself less XP as you go along compared to playing normally.
This is very, very true. But the one thing is I don't believe sirens are not in shops, so they could pick up sirens, be able to do that grind regardless. So not a big issue. The other nice thing about the jump, when a NPC decides that it is time for you to sit here in the naughty stool, you can jump over.
Yes, the old lady in Kaipo is our villain no longer.
Do not be mistaken. Do not give her credit. She is still a villain.
Fair.
Just a little bit less so, because now you can jump over the old lady. And, you know, just keep jumping over walls and skip certain cutscenes. You know, I'm absolutely loving watching these runners use the push B to jump.
It opens up so many routing options, so many avenues for breaking the game, both metaphorically and literally, in some cases.
Who knew there were more ways to break a 30-year-old game?
Well, I mean, when you start hacking it, sure.
Oh, absolutely. That's what we do best. We now have Commander Leonhardt going into the Antlion Cave, and it looks like Rex is in Troya, making fun use of the push B, and Aegis is tackling this Antlion on top of Hobbs.
Slightly better crew to do this fight with having that edge in tow. So, two characters with meaningful HP who could actually do damage.
And we will not know if that Ruby was vanilla, because Dark Kobold decided he didn't want to fight the two bosses in battle.
I mean, hey, if you don't have to.
Yeah, especially since those bosses are kind of closer to the end of the game. They do, especially for how low level the party is, that would be a very scary spot. Being able to just jump it and be the first runner underground using the hook routes at 13 minutes.
So now this opens up a number of item location checks for Dark Kobold, including the possibility of, I guess it would be French vanilla if it showed up in the rat tail chest down in Feymarch. But this dwarf castle area is good first spot to check, get a few shops looked at. Yep. Maybe pick a boss or two.
There's some hourglasses in that dwarf castle. Hourglass is able to cast the stop spell and an extremely useful item, also very expensive.
Commander Leonhard having the same wyvern issue. Everyone except Fu getting wiped out before any star veils could go up.
There's the bounce nuke. Commander Leonhard was trying to do something interesting. He was casting the Chocobo summon with Rydia onto the Wyvern. So Wyvern's interesting when you cast a summon. He counterattacks with Mega Nuke. But as you can see, him reflecting these nukes, giving him a little bit of trouble. Looks like this will be, unfortunately, a wipe for him. Yeah, there's the reset. But that's just the nature of the Wyvern. He is very, very rude in 90% of the spots you find him. And I missed it. Did Dark Kobold give us our validation check?
You know, it looked like he was trying and couldn't get a conversation to happen.
Well, that's a little unfortunate. Rex Raoul now taking on the dolls. I didn't see where he was at.
Think this is Baron Inn? I was also watching Commander Leonhardt's Wyvern play a little more.
It gets through the Wyvern. Very nicely done with that Paladin Cecil getting a little bit of experience. Not bad. And Dark Kobold is now leaving Tomra, and it looks like got some sirens. Going to do a little bit of a quick omelet.
Yeah, just a fast scramble here with with 2 coffins in hand or a sufficiently high level weapon. You can take these out before they can do anything and get 34,000 experience for it.
So one other thing to note, because our runners are jumping over a lot of bosses, Fu's only got 600 HP on Dark Kobold's side. We have the Fusuya challenge turned on. So what that is Fu starts with a pitiful 500 HP and a handful of spells. Every time you defeat a boss, he will get 3 random spells and an additional 100 HP. So not killing these bosses is actually keeping your Fu fairly weak.
Yeah, if you're planning on holding on to Fu throughout, then you might want to do some bosses. And apparently, you might want to go to Fabul, because there's our Darkness Crystal.
Ooh, that Darkness Crystal is a nice pickup. That gets us our path to Zeromus through the Walk of Shame, of course, but it also gives us a bunch of key item checks, eventually, and potential character check, and another spot on the moon for another shop on the moon. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, if you're still hunting, that is a preferable way to get up to where Zeromus would be, over the pass, just because it opens up stuff. But like you said, it's the Walk of Shame. It takes a while. There are plenty of spots where it's faster after defeating a boss on the moon to go back to Earth and use the pass, then keep going. The dungeon's that long.
Well, it wouldn't matter if the Pingtail ends up being on the moon. Without the pass, you still got to go back up to the moon. You really don't want your Pingtail to be on the moon with no pass. But it looks like Rex is going to at least have the big well launched. And we have demist on Commander Leonhardt's side over in Baron Inn.
It's a little bit of a rude spot, because this is in vanilla the karate fight, and punches about as hard as the name would imply. So this is going to be a little dangerous, but pretty doable.
I don't know if it would be super dangerous. Fu, even though he does have very low HP, does have that Sorcerer Robe, and the Sorcerer Robe offers some pretty solid defense. Oh, well, D-Mist is still going to hit him pretty hard, but you
Yeah.
still should be, for the most part, okay. You have Edge, you have a Paladin with, it looks like that's an Ogre Axe, and now you have to get hit by the Cold Breath because it turned into Mist. And it looks like Aegis just wrapping up his Fabul fight. Dark Kobold is still making some omelets. And looks, I'm not sure where Rex is. I kind of looked away. Our restreamer letting me know he is in Mysidia. Thank you, Dathus.
Yes, thank you, Dathus and Gebit017 are taking care of the restream and the tracking respectively. Shoutouts to all the folks behind the scenes making sure these things run well.
Absolutely. Without the work of the restreamers and everyone on the restream team, these races are just not possible. So thank you, everyone. All right, we now have Dark Kobold going down into the Fey March. So down here is potential 3 key item checks, 2 behind bosses, which no one likes to fight, and 1 in the vanilla rat tail chest. And with the push B to jump, you don't have to walk back and forth through that teleporter. Now you can just jump over it.
Yeah, you know, just run along in the open air above the town. That's a thing you can do. Don't ask about physics. We find the package down there. We find the Luca key over in the Baron Inn fight, and we find a Porum on the moon.
Well, if we didn't have a Fu, Porum would be a pretty solid white mage to have. Unfortunately, Rex does not have Fu yet. And it looked like Leonhardt got rid of Rydia for Tella.
Wow. I mean, Tella does enable a number of strategic options, a few grinds, especially now that Commander Leonhardt has done Mount Ordeal, so Tella is fully online.
Very, very true. Tella, a character that's in the vanilla game, he's there. In Free Enterprise, he has actually quite a bit of use with his ability to just immediately have access to weak, along with a plethora of your tier 3 spells and some pretty solid white magic spells. He is a very, very nice character to have for certain things. He is not very good in your Zeromus fight, except for being an agility anchor. And apparently we had Leviathan at Leviathan. Some more vanilla from our lovely restreamer.
Although it turns out that it was the Magus sisters that were the queen of the Fey March, which, okay.
I mean, sometimes you just... we'll call them the princesses of the Fey March.
That works.
Of course, the Magus sisters, not the scariest place to see them. Still, though, you probably don't want to tangle with them right now. Dark Kobold now coming back from the underground, did some looting, has that package. Don't know if you really want to check the package. You already have Fu, you have a Cecil. I don't think package would be really worthwhile. And Kobold now heading up to Ordeals.
Yeah, honestly, I would not expect any of our featured runners to be terribly concerned about characters. They'll take good ones if they come across them, but they're not going to go out of the way for anything anymore.
Oh, probably not. You're going to have a pretty solid party. You have access to a lot of characters early on with the way this seed's shaping up. And with a Fu in your party, once you get some bosses done for him, he's pretty good for the Z fight. Commander Leonhardt also skipping Upper Babel bosses, and now is heading into Underground, our second runner, and Aegis heading back to the blue planet.
Dark Kobold gets ambushed and clears out of there. We saw that was Dr. Luge at the Mylon Z spot.
Unfortunately, that Mylon Z spot will go undefeated today.
Yeah, because nobody wants to hear about the Doctor's latest invention.
It usually just blows up at you.
It's a prototype. He's working on it.
Well, now Dark Kobold has a Cecil as a paladin. Aegis is back on Earth with that Quorum, and with a pretty decent party, if I'm not mistaken. Does have a curse ring in his inventory as well. And it looks like Rex is taking on this Pale Dim, and in a moment, the D-Mist over in Baron Inn.
Now, we did have Commander Leonhardt do that fight earlier, but hasn't checked it yet. So we don't know what is hanging out in Mist.
And we see Rex Raoul, his Quorum is laying on the ground, so obviously either wants to slingshot her in some sense, or she will be an agility anchor. Is making use of those illusions to be able to dodge the D-Mist, who only attacks with physical attacks. And I also saw him using some of the other J items, such as the Vampire, to output a little bit more damage than his party is capable of with just their with what they have available in their kits.
Yeah, those J items can be very, very handy to have around, especially if you've got a party that's more physical based. There are plenty of bosses where having some elemental damage really comes in handy. And if all you're swinging around is Edge and Sid and Edward and so forth, it's nice to be able to cast Lit now and then.
Very, very true. Of course, you know, besides just the elemental, they are useful for AoE attacks, for taking out some of the other like group bosses a little bit quicker, especially early on. So J items are very nice to use. Paladin Aegis quickly takes out this D-Mist, that Edge ripping through it, and is rewarded with his Luca Key Antella, and I think Rex is not too far behind.
Yeah, using that blink spell, using those illusions. So there's now 3 of our runners with the Luca Key and the Mist Dragon check available.
So come on, let's have a pink tail at the D-Mist spot. That would be perfect.
That would be go mode already.
But it looks like Aegis is deciding he wants to go up 4 deals, and Rex now with his party, see where he's gonna go. Meanwhile, Dark Kobold, wrapping up the Fabul fight, is rewarded with his own Darkness Crystal, will be able to make the trek up to the moon once he finds that pink tail, or if the pink tail is on the moon. We were just saying, if the pink tail was at the D-Mist spot, that would be go mode for Rex.
Well, it looks like he is going to be the first one to check as he has come into town. Does a little bit of shopping.
Doing a little bit of looting, now talking to Rydia's mom. It's the tower key.
So that is a very nice thing to get before you go underground, like some of our runners have done already.
Very, very true. It'll let you fully clear the lower part of Babel if you so choose. Tower key usually we get from the top of Babel in vanilla, but here Rydia's mom deciding she wanted something from the underground. Rex now heading over into Kaipo, where everyone's favorite final boss is, and probably will take a look at what that Sand Ruby character is. And we now have Dark Cobalt taking on this Peldim / Demus.
Would appear to be another child in the Kaipo bed.
Was the ponytail to the right or the left?
I couldn't tell. I can never tell when it's Kaipo bed.
And Paladin Aegis is taking on this Mylon and Friends, and I believe this is Vanilla.
Yeah.
And in case you needed anything, your one-stop shop for sirens is in Tomra, along with Silkwebs, which are pretty useful sometimes. Dark Kobold now has his Luca key and potential Demus check, which we know leads to the tower key.
And Commander Leonhardt has gone and met our animal trainer for the evening. I don't know if that dwarf would get along with Rydia being a summoner. That's kind of like training animals and also people-ish things.
And dragons.
Dragons are animals.
Dragons are dragons. I do not count them as animals because animals are food sometimes.
Wow.
But even still, Bahamut technically isn't a dragon in this game.
That's its own whole other story that we're not going to get into, because instead we're going to have Dark Kobold taking on Kanazo on the throne, which isn't that vanilla.
Dathus, your vanilla rolling powers are impressive. Paladin Aegis now taking on this Dr. Luge fight. Shouldn't have too much trouble. Edge, Sid, Sylph should be able to get through this pretty easily.
I am a little surprised that he's doing these boss fights when he doesn't have Fu in the party.
I'm a little surprised too, but it is still experience, and there is still the
True.
chance he finds the Fu later on, especially if he decides to head up Tower of Zot. May also not have as much practice on the jump to be and doesn't realize you were able to jump over these. Something we can definitely ask him about when he comes in for an interview later, if he does.
Not only was it a vanilla Kanazo, it was a vanilla Sid. I'm starting to think we should just head to the moon now, because that's where the pigtail is going to be.
As long as it's behind Ogopogo at Alt Gauntlet, or Alt Gauntlet at Ogopogo, I got that backwards, I think we'll all be happy. Or at least have Twin Harp there, and the Twin Harp leads to the Pinktail. I'll be happy with that.
Someone will be happy, yes.
I'm not running it, so... I can wish all sorts of evil, horrible things on our runners that may or may not happen. Aegis now going into the Crystal Room will turn any and all Cecils into Paladins and make Tella useful again.
As Dark Kobold has found a tail, but not the tail. That will just be a straight key item or valuable item trade-in.
That rat tail could lead to the pink tail as well.
Mm-hmm.
We have a blue robe, and there's our Alt Gauntlet. A fight of 5 conjurers at Odin's spot. So, for anyone that doesn't know, one of the other features that have been added is the Alt Gauntlet, which takes 5 enemies from the area you're in. Unfortunately, the Odin spot is too easy, so we're going to take Conjurers from the Fey March for this spot.
Yeah, the Odin throne would, by that logic, use the Barren Waterway. That's the nearest, enemy-infested area, if you will. And that's what gets used for the Baigan spot, and I believe even the Kanazo spot. They use the same things. But as Valvo said, It's easy. It's the Barren Waterway. Let's amp it up a little.
So they decided to put in a bunch of conjures, which will summon an enemy in a particular order. I believe it's always in this order for the Odin spot.
Yeah, the fights in the Alt Gauntlet are always in the same sequence for a given location.
And Dark Kobold making use of that push B to jump. We see as ninja jumping, and we even saw a bard jump. And now, go ahead.
I was gonna say, are we seeing a giant down with Paladin Aegis?
He does have that Tella, so he may be looking to do a D-Machine grind.
Really, that's the only reason you would do it right now.
It quite literally is the only reason. You won't get a key item from here. He already knows that D-Mist is taken care of. So literally must be coming in here for a D-Machine grind or some sort of grind. Maybe take a peek at bosses see if maybe there's a freebie to get you jump started, but Dark Kobold now on 5 of 5, which is just against a single clapper. Do not be mistaken, this clapper hurts.
Yeah, the previous clapper did quite a number to his party. It's a bit of a surprise that Edward is still standing.
I don't know what Edward has equipped, but that blitz didn't do a whole lot of damage, and with the hourglass, clapper is no longer going to be a threat, takes it out, and is now complete with his alt gauntlet, and gets a Bahamut summon, and immediately reset.
Ooh. Wait, doesn't he have Rydia in the party?
Yeah, but it would take a little bit, and I do mean a very short amount of time to walk out of there. But you really aren't going to get to make that much use of the Bahamut. You didn't get the experience on all of your party. It makes sense to go ahead and just reset out and move on. And Dark Kobold now taking a look at his D-Mist item, gets the tower key, and Commander Leonhardt now taking on the dolls at Fabul. Meanwhile, Rex is starting his trek to the underground. And it looks like Paladin Aegis is now getting set up for the D-Machine grind. We'll be able to really get this Rydia and Porum online.
Thanks to having the life glitch on, it'll be that much faster to just knock out a D-Machine and get 1 or even 2 procs off. You do this a few times over, maybe a lot of times over if you got some ethers on hand, and you get levels. You get levels.
Absolutely. Do have to set up for it a little bit. Notice his Tella is in the middle slot to try to help with that accuracy of the weak spell to help with the D-Machines. Still gonna take a little bit of time, but now we have Dark Kobold trading in the Rat Tail for White Spear.
So not a tail for tail trade, and I don't think we've seen Kane anywhere, so I mean, it's something for Edge to throw.
Let's see, and it looks like Dark Kobold is heading to Cave Magnus? I guess you can skip the Twin Harp with push B to jump.
Yeah. There are shenanigans available for sure.
I demand that not be allowed because everyone deserves music. Meanwhile, it looks like Commander Leonhard is heading up Tower of Zot, and I believe Rex is exiting the Eblon Cave. And it's just a Sand Ruby today.
Well, that's what you get for jumping over and not giving us music.
Exactly. If you had played music, it probably would have been your pink tail. Probably not, but it makes me feel better. Anyways, I'm really liking how all of our runners are routing the seed with the push B to jump. You're open up to so many things that normally could be a little scary. Here, not as much.
Yeah, and it just gives you so many options, if nothing else. You don't have to worry about that earth crystal to get up to the top of Zah. You don't even need the hook to get into Eblin Cave. Not that it mattered for this seed. You don't need the Baron Key to get into Baron.
And you can skip the D-Lunar spot to get those 2 chests if any of our runners do it, and save that for, some quick experience later on if needed. And it looks like Rex is making his climb up Mount Ordeals, put a ninja hat on the Bard, and is going to take on this vanilla Mylon with friends. And it looks like Dark Cobalt got the Earth Crystal and is now looting the treasury. And contending with the true final boss, inventory management.
Yeah, that Earth Crystal came from Sheila over in Fabul. We haven't found the pan, so we don't have the other Sheila item. That's an easy one to forget about, and has a good chance of being valuable. The treasury looked to be pretty valuable, as I saw several distinct crystal items, just one after another.
There were some decent things in the treasury overall. I don't know if it was truly worth it, but definitely worth money. And now with that Earth Crystal in hand, gonna take on these bosses in the Tower of Zot. I believe Commander Leonhard is just a little bit ahead of him, taking on Water Hag. Age is still taking care of this D machine grind. His party will be able to literally handle anything he runs into once he is done. And Dark Cobalt making use of that push B to jump, jumping over the cutscene again. Looks like he also skipped the Maga Sister spot and is now taking on the boss of Tower of Zot, which is the Water Hag.
Yep, a very simple fight. Just hit it a few times. Let Anna give her motivational speech, and you're good. And you
there's
gotta
our
do
pink
it.
tail. Commander Leonhard, our first runner on stream in Go mode, just has to trade away that pink tail, get his levels, and go take on the big bad that is Zeromus.
So that was, because of push B to jump, that was accessible from the outset. We could have just, jumped over, the initial cutscene trigger where you needed the Earth Crystal, and then gotten our characters, swoop back down, there's Water Hag, takes you out, here's a pink tail, have a nice day.
Very, very true. So now, going on to this grind of eggs, his foo only has 1200 HP, not gonna be that valuable in the Z fight, unfortunately. Dark Kobold hot on Commander Leonhardt's tail, finishing up Tower of Zot, now has his own pink tail. Just has to trade away, get some levels, and will be also heading into our Z fight. Meanwhile, it looks like Rex is heading up into Fabul, and Aegis is still taking care of some machine-type dragons.
Yeah, but it looks like Paladin Aegis is about done with that week and that Sylph, so be stacked with levels, and turns out not gonna need them, at least to get to go mode. This is all Zeromus prep.
With that, Dark Kobold turns in his pink tail, has the crystal, and is also rewarded with an adamant armor. So your Spoony Bard is fully online once you get level.
And Dark Kobold is going for it. We have a Bard who is ready for anything.
So Hupfin, since most people have probably never seen the pink tail of vanilla, you care to describe what that adamant armor is?
It is the best armor in the game, and probably better than all the other armor combined in terms of raw stats. It's a dramatic defense improvement, a dramatic stats improvement for every stat, and a dramatic elemental resistance. The only problem is if you take it off. The elemental resistances and weaknesses in this game are kind of a little bit bugged, and you can end up with an excessive elemental weakness if you give a character adamant and then take it off. So just don't take adamant off somebody. It's so good. Why would you do that?
And just to note, we have a first place finisher, Zilch, finishing with first at the time of 45 minutes and 27 seconds. GG, well played to him. And just so everyone is aware, it's not just our 4 runners racing tonight. We have, I believe it's somewhere a little over 20 runners running this race tonight.
Yeah, I think it was 21 or 22.
Dark Kobold now launching his big whale, and it looks like Commander Leonhardt still grinding away on some eggs. Shouldn't take too much longer to get his characters up to speed for the Z fight. Chat letting us know it is 22 runners in tonight's race, so... Oh, that's our tracker Gambit 017, and Dathus, who is our restreamer, and rolling lots and lots of vanilla for everyone. Dark Kobold is running around Earth. I think he might be looking for a character to use as an agility anchor.
I kind of suspect so. Paladin Aegis just went and grabbed Edward.
And finds that trap chest. With the spoon, Edward is a nice pickup. This Stillman chest, though, HP a little low, but 2200 on edge. Flame spells should be able to take them out pretty quickly. Not in one shot, unfortunately, but pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Dark Kobold stocking up on some Cure 3s. Definitely getting ready to head into his Z fight pretty soon. And it looks like Rex is also heading down to do a D machine grind.
I mean, if you've got a fully powered Tela, that is kind of the ideal approach. Get a fair bit more than from scrambling eggs, and you don't have to worry about gathering sirens.
Very, very true. It is a fight that, you know, knowing how to get it is part of the battle, but once you know how to do that, it's pretty simple to get. Not too terribly difficult to pull off once you've had a little bit of practice with it, and it's a great way to get your characters up to speed, ready for Zeromus, and literally anything else that could get in your way.
Like this character cutscene that Dark Kobold has to sit through, as this is his first visit to the subterrane. So this Porum is probably not going to be involved in this battle. Oh no, he's going to take her over Rydia.
It makes sense. At this point, you have Cecil, you have Edward. Rydia's not that useful, and if nothing else, Porum will be a really decent agility anchor, or if you're going to get some levels, a source of Berserk.
I don't know that Dark Kobold is going to bother with any levels. There are a few boss spots down here naturally, so you have the option if you want to take it, or you can pop your sirens, get some King Ryu fights in.
Very, very true. And did buy a bunch of those Hourglass 2s. These King Ryu's not going to be much of a threat. Just have to survive the first 2 attacks they queued up. And there you go. Looks like Paladin Aegis is now heading his way down to the underground, going through Upper Babel, and Rex still looking for that D-Machine grab. Aegis is also taking the time to beat these trap chests, and by beating the trap chests, he has potential for some even better gear.
Yep, the rewards for trap chests is randomized just like everything else, but it leans towards higher quality equipment. And you can even set up flag sets to where that higher quality equipment includes, key items. We haven't done that here, but, that is an option.
It is one of the flags you can do, key items and trap chests. And I just saw 31 levels for Porum.
They grow up so fast these days.
That they do, and that will put her at level 41. That'll at least get her Cure 3. I don't know if she has Cure 4 yet. I don't remember the exact level she gets. But the other thing with this King Ryu fight, it's also going to get your Edward a bunch of levels. So the Spoon Adamant Edward, lots of levels. He'll be very, very fast, do a lot of damage. Doesn't quite have the same strength stat as someone, say, like Cecil, but with a 255 attack power weapon, really doesn't matter all that much.
Yeah, almost makes up for it. Of course, Zeromus' Big Bang is an attack that, to a certain degree, disregards your defense and will still do a lot of damage even with Adamant on, so, be careful of that.
That's very, very true. The Big Bang does not care about your Adamant armor that much. Also to note, Dark Kobold does have 10 key items, so it's getting 120,000 experience per King Ryu fight.
Yeah, that was a relatively quick 10 key items too, for how much we've done.
I mean, when you get to skip like 70% of the bosses and just get the key items, it's pretty fast to get 10 key items.
Well, again, with this being push B to jump, it was possible to do this entire seed with 4. The Crystal, the Hook, the Pink Tail, and the Darkness Crystal.
There's Cure 4 on Porum. Should be pretty ready to go. Yep, heading straight down. Rex still doing his D machine grind, and it looks like we will find out if this Ruby was vanilla. Paladin Aegis taking on Octomam. We now have a second place finisher, Poydrak, with a time of 54 minutes, 23 seconds. GG, well played to him. Commander Leonhardt still taking care of this egg grind, still wants some more levels for his party. His Edward rapidly getting past the 1000 HP mark. Cecil at 2700. I think his party should be pretty ready to go for this fight.
Paladin Age is showing us it's not vanilla, it's elements. Only a little leg here.
Well, we'll still get some leg time. So, Pupfin, there's a certain question we like to ask as Dark Cobalt is jumping over a lot of the crystal part of this lunar subterrane. I can't quite remember how it goes. Can you care to refresh my memory?
Well, we were just talking about leg, but more interesting, whose butt? Whose butt are we kicking? Once Dark Kobold stops ringing around the butt and actually fights it.
Showing off that you can indeed jump past the trigger for the Zeromus fight. Teasing everyone a few times. And now approaching the fight backwards.
Moonwalking into Zeromus. Fitting.
So, whose butt are we going to kick? One of the things with this randomizer, all the bosses are shuffled except for Zeromus, because Zeromus in a lot of areas is really, really difficult. So instead, courtesy of Scala Kitty with somewhere over 400 sprites, we changed the sprite of this fight. Our crystal was thrown, his true colors emerged.
With a Gur and an Erg, we have
Monokumamus. Very, very, very fitting, I believe. And while Dark Kobold beats up on the principal, we have a third and fourth place finishers. Jeebus finishing in third with a time of 55:07, and Dia finishing in fourth with a time of 56:47. So GG, well played to both of them.
Well, we have Edge throwing all manner of weapon. Edward throwing all manner of spoon. Paladin Aegis has made it underground, is now heading down to Tamra. As Commander Leonhardt clearing out more eggs, looks to be done at this stage.
Should be done. Probably gonna use that darkness crystal, head up to the moon. Rex still chugging away at these machine type dragons. And Paladin Aegis stocking up on some silk webs, potentially some sirens. And 5th place finisher, Flory 14 with a time of 58:39. Looks like Commander Leonhardt is looking for some bosses to try to power up this Fu a little bit more. Maybe try to get Nuke on him and a few other useful spells.
Well, there's Nuke.
That was indeed Nuke.
And there's Nukes coming from Monokumas onto Edge, but plenty of HP, can survive one without much worry.
And just to point out, unfortunately, Cecil just has an Ogre Axe, so the DPS is mostly coming from this Edward with the spoon, doing a little over 4k every swing.
As well he should.
Hey, I'm the type of person that absolutely loves bards. I am so happy to see Edward doing lots and lots of damage.
Well, here's hoping it ends up being enough damage as we pass the 1 hour mark. Still hitting those black holes and those big bangs for Dark Kobold.
Unfortunately, with the Berserker strats, you can't exactly skip the second phase of the Zeromus fight. So he does get his HP refresh and is going to have to just chug away at it, but it looks like he's doing a good job of both nerfing the big bangs and just getting his DPS out fairly effectively.
Yep, and we see rocks.
Very true. We have rocks, which unfortunately takes out the bard. We have some jumping paladins and ninjas.
Yeah, that is one last bit of strategy that Push B to Jump offers, is you can, if you're lucky and time it just right, you can jump over big bangs as well.
Casting Life 1, probably trying to get that Edward back up.
Commander Leonhardt almost forgot to actually do the objective.
That would have been unfortunate, but there's the flash. GG, well played. Dark Kobold taking 6th place overall, 1st place on stream with a time of 1 hour, 1 minute, and 23 seconds. We'll see if we can get him in here for an interview. Meanwhile, we have Commander Leonhardt still chugging away, killing some bosses to power up this Fu, now heading up to Ordeals.
Gets to face the vanilla Mylon and probably the Dr. Luge behind.
And 36 levels on Purim on Rex Raoul's side.
It's a lot of levels.
She now has white and Cure 4, so she is going to be she's going to be a lot of damage and really good heal. Gets her to that exact level of 52, which is the level where she learns white. Meanwhile, Commander Leonhardt looks like not Commander Leonhardt, Paladin Aegis looks like he is down in the Fey March. Hey, I haven't had to do commentary on a 4-person race in a while.
Same. See if he decides to actually take these fights. Looks like he's preparing to do so. I don't think we saw anyone take them.
I mean, with access to so many key items without needing to fight, would you take these fights?
Even if I needed key items, there are times that I don't bother taking these fights.
Me too. Rex, while resting up in the big whale, should be able to go hopefully find his pink tail pretty soon. And you can see these Maga Sisters actually do quite a bit of damage at the Asura spot. They are not exactly the biggest pushover.
Nope, Asura does pretty solid physical damage and pretty solid magic too. And to boot, she's kind of fast.
And we are now joined by Dark Kobold. GG, well played, and great execution on the push B to jump.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the Aramis victory lap.
You know, you love to see it sometimes.
Also, finishing off Zeramis with jumps was not intentional, but sometimes that's how it works out.
Yeah, and you love to see it. Just style on him.
Was the audience hating me after my little stunt in our village?
Where you kind of just jumped over the job dwarf?
Yeah.
Well, I think we assumed it was accidental and not intentional, so we are going to have to revisit that one.
That was just a little bit of trolling for the audience.
Definitely lots of trolling. Me personally, I'm a little more upset about having to skip music, but it obviously wasn't anything important.
The other interesting thing was this was a first time for me. I learned that if you jump Edward when he hidden, it soft blocks the game.
That does happen, yes.
Was not expecting that.
As we were saying early on in the broadcast, this provides lots of opportunity for interesting strategies and a lot of opportunities for everything to go wrong.
So it was really a jet stick. I had just checked Earth when I was first there, but I looked at Boo's spell list. I'm like, there's nothing I can do. I'm just gonna bounce.
And
you
then
know,
you
that
see Water Hag.
Yeah.
It was a reasonable move. You didn't know Water Hag would be there, so yeah, it was perfectly fair play.
I'm wondering, am I the first person who went to Earth just to check the characters and I could beef up my a little?
Of the 4 on this restream, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely made a lot of great use of the push B to jump, not just in combat, but just across the seed in general, skipping just about everything.
I really like what this flag set does. I feel like, especially having played a lot of turn matches, kind of get this theme going of, okay, gonna go to Antline, gonna go to Fool, or maybe skip Fool if that's your play. I'm gonna go Mount Ordeals and then Baron. I feel like pretty much, unless I got the Magma Key start, I was doing. This has been a lot of fun. Lately, different every seed. So many cool places to go. It really mixes it up. So I've been playing it a lot and just enjoying sort of the silliness of it and the coolness of it.
Yeah, we spent a lot of this seed looking at 4 completely different routes and completely different approaches, and a lot of that was facilitated by the push B to jump.
It definitely keeps things interesting. I'd love to see a tournament where at least like the highway to the Zima Zone, multiple flag sets that include it. So much fun.
It looked like you were having a lot of fun. Victory lap around Zeromus, getting to skip, having to go through some pretty long cutscenes, completely ignore what potentially could have been a vanilla upper bab.
Oh, going through Upper Babel, I was like, oh man, I totally forgot to check for the Mist Dragon because most of these seeds they turn off. No free key items, so I just am not used to doing that routing, and I was like, the Mist Dragon's there. I'm so boned.
That happens.
Certainly does, but thankfully I believe you did find the Mist Dragon over in Baron Inn. So, any final thoughts on this seed and flag set?
It's just a lot of fun. I'm really thankful for Face implementing so much fun playing seeds, playing this completely different way. Thank you both. Thank you for the entire restream doing this.
You broke up quite a bit there, Dark Kobold.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to thank everybody involved.
It's thank you for letting us enjoy you running. Thank you for being a part of the restream. And as always, GG, well played. Congrats tonight on your 6th place.
Thank you so much.
And that was Dark Kobold. It looks like Commander Leonhardt should be getting ready for his Z fight any moment now. Rex Raoul is taking on Leviathan at Leviathan.
Yep, and
he's leaving the moon.
Yeah. Well, as all that is happening, we have had some more finishes. JP has taken 7th with a 1 hour 6 minutes 35 seconds. Antidale takes 8th with a 1:06:49, and Korek takes 9th with a 1:09:10.
GG to all of our runners who have finished. Very interesting seed. Paladin Aegis now making his way down to the Luca Cave. Sorry, got mixed up in my thoughts. And I think Commander Leonhardt forgot to get his crystal.
Apparently.
We've all done it. And more times than I would care to admit. And we have a 10th place finisher, Zoe Vermillion, with a time of 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 22 seconds. GG, well played to them. There we go, Commander Leonhardt trading away his pink towel, being rewarded with his crystal and the all-powerful best armor in pretty much all RPGs, the Adamant armor.
And now he can go back to the moon and actually discover whose butt we're kicking.
For the 2nd time. And while our runners are kind of running around, don't forget, if this looks interesting, definitely come join us on our Discord. We have these community races every Monday and Friday nights. We also have a whole bunch of other races that happen throughout the week, including, well, there's the Underground Racing Club, lots of races going on, including just casual races throughout the week. And if you don't know what you're doing in this, there's always the Newbies Corner and lots of really strong runners. Be more than happy to help you learn this seed. As Invenerable says, so many races, and I can't think of them all.
Yeah, it's possible if you've been watching the Football Gauntlet tournament in the last couple of weeks and months, you might recognize some of the names that we're mentioning or that are on the screen, but this is a wide community. You don't have to be, high tier, high speed racer to participate and play along. You can just, experience all that Free Enterprise has to offer for better and occasionally for worse.
Definitely. There's so many ways you can set up to play this game, and you don't have to speedrun it. You can just casually set up a seed and just go at it at your own pace. And our restreamer plugging in chat a lot of the different races we have. So thank you, Dathus, for that. And thank you for, as always, rolling lots and lots and lots and lots of vanilla. And we have an 11th place finish with Tybalt and a time of 1:13.16. GG, well played. Paladin Aegis now taking on this Golbez, which I think is the first fight in the Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, it looked like.
Meanwhile, and it looks like we're back. Unfortunately, our restreamer's OBS crashed. Just happens sometimes. But thank you, Dathus, for quickly resolving your issue. It happens to everyone. Trust.
The true final boss, computers. Well, actually, that's like the second to last boss is CPU. And I guess like you can do the lunar subterranean ones after that. So you know what I mean.
Computers are meant for making bigger mistakes faster. Trust me on this.
Oh yeah.
But we're back just in time for Commander Leonhardt to throw his crystal to reveal his Monokumas. And Rex Raoul taking on this Mom Bomb at the top of Lower Babel, and Paladin Aegis finally getting his tower key. Rex Raoul, ooh, that's the pass.
That spares you the moon.
Definitely spares you the moon. He needs to go jump over some bosses and get to his Earth Crystal check, but pass is definitely something you like to see. And Paladin Aegis giving us a peek at our package character. There's the king. Unfortunately, your unique command has been given to everyone now, so your uniqueness kind of went out the window and you're just a fighter.
The Dragoon forces have been recruiting heavily, and really they'll take anyone. And they did.
They took a bard, they took an engineer, they took an old sage who typically is just laying on the ground.
They took children. That's actually pretty questionable.
I mean, aren't you a battle-hardened veteran by 10 years old now?
No.
You're right.
I also don't live in a world of sword and sorcery, so there's that.
Well, this is very true. But apparently the Dragoon forces, even though they're recruiting children, old men, engineers, and everything else, they're doing quite well for themselves. Commander Leonhardt getting going on this Monokumas. Paladin Aegis, not sure where he's heading quite yet. Should be... Looks like he's grabbing his hovercraft. Did he find the rat tail?
No, but it's probably just staging it for later. Having gone through the underground, come back up. You don't need to go through Evelyn Cave again.
Very, very true. Now has that hovercraft set up. Does have his Earth Crystal. Probably looking to take on this Tower of Zot for the second time. Or did he take on Tower Zut the first time?
You know, I couldn't even tell you.
He doesn't have Foo, so he has not been up Zot. Obviously, skipped it without doing all the jumping shenanigans. Should be able to make quick work of Tower Zot now, though.
You know, I would say, first off, an oof to Commander Leonhard, who apparently has taken a wipe on Zeromus. But I feel like what we saw here, the top two on your screen, were taking huge advantage of press B to jump and kind of sequence breaking and mucking about, more or less. Paladin Aegis, Rex Rawl played this a lot more vanilla, a lot straighter. And so they're probably going to have better levels going in to the Zeromus fight, but as you're seeing, it's taking them a bit longer to get there.
So we have a question in chat. What does push B to jump do? Push B to jump lets you jump on the overworld, along with being able to jump as a Dragoon. It's quite literally, you push B to jump.
Yeah, it's exactly what it says on the tin.
But yeah, as you were saying, Dark Kobold, Commander Leonhardt, they've obviously practiced a little bit more with the push B to jump, knew more about, oh, I can jump over this to skip this, I can jump this to skip this. And Rex and Paladin just playing the seed more of a standard style. Not to say that's bad, they're both playing it very, very well. It's just they don't know the same sort of tricks you can do with the push B to jump. So it's making routing very, very interesting.
Yeah, at the very least, they're not taking full advantage of it.
But, both Rex Raul, Paladin A, just both fantastic runners, and definitely great members of our community. So no fault to them, just did take the same sort of advantage. Probably will go back, watch this VOD, and, hopefully come back for a salty run back Friday and take first or something. And if this push B to jump is looking interesting to you, we will be running the same flag set again on Friday night, and I believe that's at 10 p.m. Eastern.
We have Commander Leonhardt in his second attempt at the Zeromus fight, and that's a few people on the floor, possibly more people than he wanted at the moment.
All right. Unfortunately, it looks like both of them are berserk, so not gonna be able to pick up those party members.
Cecil is not berserked.
I think they just got hit with the black hole, which is great news. There's the Shake, though. Needs to get some healing going very, very quickly. Cure 4 comes out. Unfortunately, both Edge and Fu back on the ground. That's a nasty virus. Hopefully he's able to recover this. Paladin A just wraps up this Kaipo fight. Now heading into the second fight here at the Earth Crystal. Will be rewarded with his Fu. Will be rewarded with that Cecil. I don't know if he's really going to want to keep the Cecil, simply because he's already done quite a bit of grinding. But a Fu, definitely nice to see.
Yeah, you would take him even after you've done a substantial grind, because he shows up at level 50, and if you've done a fair amount of bosses, you've got a pretty large spell book and a pretty good HP pool.
I just want to point out that Edward on Rex Raoul's side has 2,000 HP.
That's a beefy bard.
That is a very beefy bard. Commander Leonhardt looks like he's starting to salvage this fight using Psych on Cecil to get more MP on Fu. Nuke hitting Cecil. Still alive.
This is proving pretty tense. Not getting the DPS that you would like to see. Only swinging 1,700 or so. But he's gonna lean into that burst and, see what he can do.
There's the big bang. He did just cast Burst on Cecil. Let's hope his Fu survives. That's great news for him.
That is clutch.
Paladin Aegis. Looks like he did take the Cecil. He does have an Excalibur, so that Cecil will do some damage. And this Fu, it's Fu. Everyone loves Uncle Mop.
People are a little more mixed about this Dark Knight Cecil that Rex Rawl is about to take on. You just have to survive 3 hits, but depending on the spot, just is a bit of an understatement.
With a 2,000 health Spoon Bard, I don't think this Dark Knight, or as we affectionately call him, Pain Man, is long for the world.
This is really more of like an itch man. Considering he only did like 100 some and is gone.
Commander Leonhardt, luckily, looks like he got hit with a black hole, able to get the Fu back up, is still doing this fight, is still hanging in there and doing it very well, considering it looks like Monokumas just decided that his party did not deserve to be alive anymore. Probably broke some rules with the push to jump,
Yeah, I was gonna see that. That seems like his thing, deciding who lives or dies.
Kinda. Unfortunately, the Fu going down yet again. Big Bang is no joke, but did get Berserk on Cecil. Hopefully he's able to get through this.
We are at Medio, so on the one hand, that means no more black holes to get rid of this Bursk. On the other hand, this fight is almost over, whichever way it goes.
It looks like he's going to finish it up.
That, we didn't see the flash, but we see the shakes. That is a GG for Commander Leonhardt.
Commander Leonhardt taking 12th overall, second on our restream with a time of 1:27.29, and literally seconds after him, Gundam Pilot Spaz in 13th with a time of 1:27.50. So GG, well played to both Commander Leonhardt and Gundam Pilot Spaz. We will see if we can get Commander Leonhardt in here for an interview in just a moment. And if I'm not mistaken, Paladin Aegis has wrapped up his Earth Crystal, should have his pink tail now. Or did he skip the boss fight?
I don't see why you would.
Don't think so. Have to just take a look in a moment.
Yeah, I was a little too transfixed by Commander Leonhardt's very tense Zeromus fight. It might be a moment because he might need to catch his breath.
Oh, very, very true. That, do not be mistaken, Zeromus, even with solid levels, can absolutely destroy your party. if you're not careful. And for him to pull out that fight, especially with all the difficulties Zeromus gave him, very well done on him. I never wish Big Bang into Meteo on even my worst. And there we go. Paladin Aegis went up to the moon, forgot to turn in his pink tail, realizes his mistake, is able to get his crystal and now an adamant armor to go with that.
As Rexral gets the Earth Crystal and is finally on the path to that pink tail.
Probably going to be pretty happy to see the Fu and maybe the Cecil there. I don't know if he has an Excalibur or anything like that, but definitely going to be happy to see the Fu. So Rex on the track to hopefully go get this pink tail from the Earth Crystal. Paladin Aegis rearranging his party slightly and should be ready to go. And we are now joined by Commander Leonhardt. GG, well play on that very clutch Zeromus fight. I am not getting any sound from you, Commander Leonhardt.
Looks like we're having another technical difficulty. We'll get Commander Leonhardt's audio in here in just a moment. Meanwhile, we do have Paladin Aegis doing the run through the lunar subterrane. With all that grinding earlier, I suspect he'll be in comfortable shape to take on this Zeromus fight. We have Rexral going through Tower of Zokt. 2 easy fights between him and the Pink Tail.
Very, very true. He did do that D-Machine grind. His levels should be fine. I think he did take the Cecil. Unfortunately, doesn't have very many levels on the Cecil, but it's still Excal set.
That's one fight through for Rex.
And with his levels, he should be able to get through this very, very quickly. On top of that, Rex does have the pass. We're still working on the audio for Commander Leonhardt. As soon as we're able to, we will definitely get him in here for an interview. Meanwhile, it looks like Paladin Aegis is going to make use of some sirens to quickly grind. And it looks like we're rejoined by Commander Leonhardt.
Hopefully.
There
Huzzah.
you are.
Wonderful. I don't know what I changed, but great.
Technology.
Exactly. But once again, GG, well played on that. It looked pretty dicey, but you definitely did it on the Zeromus fight, or Monokumas. How did you feel about the seed overall?
Well, I knew it had the possibility to be very jetty, particularly once D-Mist showed themselves and wasn't in a really tough hiding place. I found the Earth Crystal, felt nice, but knew that with Eddie out that a bunch of people were going to be coming in fast. Wasn't wrong.
It wasn't wrong, but you still made great use of that push to jump. How do you feel about that, new flag?
It's a lot of fun. I've had the benefit of watching a lot of people run through it, and I've done some practice runs myself, and that's come in handy. A lot of things you can just bypass and go around. I felt very happy with my starting party, finding that foo on Earth and then finding the edge on the hook route. That felt very nice.
And that it did. We'll say the one thing I did notice is just the lack of spells on Fu initially. So do you think that the push to D is kind of a little bit of Fu can be a little bit of a hindrance, or how do you feel about Fu in general with this?
I think skipping a lot of bosses with push to B definitely slows Fu down some, but I wouldn't go so far as to say Fu's someone I want to drop fast. There at the end, I was not only looking for a better cure spell for Fu, but also just some more hit points. So that was definitely a factor, but got it cleaned up. Also, I'm going to go for the elephant in the room and tell you that I smacked myself about 4 or 5 times when I got to Z and realized I had no crystal.
You know, you weren't the only one to go to the moon with the pink tail and no crystal. Paladin Aegis did the exact same thing, but backed out before getting to Zeromus. So
I had to think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you can feel bad for it, but you're not the only one by a long shot.
And you're not the only one that's happened to. It's happened to a lot of people before. So it's just one of those things. It's like, oh yeah, I've got the pink tail, I'm done. And you just forget one little thing. But overall, still well played.
Thanks. And I had the sinking feeling as I teleported into his room and walked up. I went, wait a minute. I didn't turn it in, but at that point, it's like, I might as well just look in my inventory.
Now, that said, when you did finally get into a proper Zeromus fight, man, that was a tense ending.
Absolutely. Tense on my end. That first one, he threw the immediate counter nuke on Fu, and I was like, oh, you board-face AI, you, But I got through that on the second one, and it was just a life. Cure 4, life cure 4, life cure 4, Zerk if you can, and then at the end the rocks fall. I'm just yelling at poor Cecil on the screen. Come on, come on, come on, come on!
Still managed to get through it. Very tense. You could tell it was tense on your end, but you still got through it. You still did a wonderful job on this seed. Any final thoughts?
Just that I had a lot of fun with it. I was glad that it wasn't really super jetty, like Hook to Pink Tail and Antlion, but also not super trolly like a Hidden Demist. I felt that it rolled up to something that was a nice in-between balance for this flag.
Absolutely. And once again, GG, well paid. Commander Leonhard, excellent, and thank you so much for allowing us to watch your race.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for running the comms with all the Skunk and Hupfin. Thanks for taking care of everything behind the scenes, Dathis and Gambit. Appreciate you all running the show tonight.
And that was Commander Leonhard. Meanwhile, even though Rex Raul got the crystal second, because of that pass, he got into the Monokumas just a little bit before Paladin Aegis, who also did need to stop and do a little bit of grinding. But we have both our last 2 runners in this Z fight.
Yeah, we get to see a little bit of a last-minute race between these two, seeing whose grind strategy, whose Zeromus strategy is going to pay off better.
Absolutely, and with the levels they have, both of at least Paladin having that Fu shouldn't have too much trouble with this.
Yeah, I would expect to see good DPS on both fronts. Dad is pointing out, though, that Rex does still have the Edward from the beginning of the seed, thereby making him the true winner. Looks like Paladin just going with a little bit of reflecting to get some nuke damage in. Reasonably nerf Big Bang. So, full party's still standing. Rex's Tella is down, but that's where he stays in this fight.
Absolutely. Tella, a great agility anchor, and with that form, able to still have Cure 4 and Berserk.
So this is looking like some solid hybrid off of Aegis, and we're seeing a bit more burst showing up for Rex. I believe I believe that's full Zerk, because he just cast Berserk on Porum. Yeah, when you have Edward swinging for 6,000, you're probably doing the damage that you need.
I mean, look, the Bard has 2,100 HP. That is a very powerful Spoonwork.
But quad 9 nukes happening over on Paladin Aegis' side.
This, with the reflect strats, will be able to skip the second phase, though if you could enter second phase with the hybrid strats, but there's rocks on Rex Raoul's side.
See how far away Paladin Aegis is from that moment. But we have a flash for Rex Raoul. That's GG.
GG, well played. Get him in here for an interview. Rex takes 18th with a time of 1:41.50, and we are joined by Rex Raoul. GG, well played.
Howdy, thank you.
So, push B to jump. What did you think of it?
Well, it was my very first time ever doing any of these seeds, and it probably showed, but it was fun. It was a really different way to look at the layouts. It is a little tricky, kind of, the first time you play, getting the grasp as to what you can and what you can't jump over. Like, I tried jumping over inside castles quite a bit, and clearly that's not something that the game wants you to do.
I will say, when you get a chance and this is uploaded, I would definitely go back and watch and see how Dark Kobold and Commander Leonhardt really made use of that push to jump.
Oh, sure, yeah, without a doubt. I always review the ones where so I can get direct comparisons to what I do with other people. So if I'm restreamed, I always check them out, no matter what.
And just to interrupt you real quick, Aegis wrapping up as well with 19th with a time of 1:42.52. We'll get him in here after our interview with Rex. But excellent job tonight, Rex. It's always a pleasure to watch you run these. So what did you think of just looking for the pink tail?
Well, when you've got just one key item, it's that you need, because especially since we had that hook right away, that wasn't a problem. So we knew that all that we needed was that pigtail. So I tried to go to places, like I went to the Feymarch first after I did my grind, because I'm like, there's 2 potential checks there, and just thinking, where is there more than one key item that I can go to? And that's why I think I routed the way that I did. Yeah.
Absolutely. Still, really, you still made pretty solid use of that push to jump. Hupfin, do you have any questions for Rex?
No, I would just say GG and thank you for keeping Edward around and giving him the respect that he deserved.
Oh yeah, having a Spoony Edward, and then I mean my D machine grind went a little crazy. I think I got him up to level 61, so he was well and truly very powerful.
It's not very often you see an Edward with 2,000 HP. I have to stress that enough. It was an Edward with 2k HP.
Yeah, like I did go overboard, but it made every battle after that, including Zeramus, just absolutely simple. Like I didn't have to think about any other fight after that. If I had, I was preparing just in case because I thought Moon might be my next choice, and then I'm thinking, I think I can get through there's more checks and I can get through them faster on the underground. So I ended up going that way. And that was another one because I didn't realize, this is my newbiness to the push beta flag. I was thinking like, I don't think I could just jump into the underworld. And then when I got to that last room where the two bosses are in Upper Babel, and I see that I could just jump right over and skip them both, I'm like, oh, well, I could have done this ages ago, but whatever.
Well, that's just it. You're still learning, but still made pretty solid use of the push B to jump. Any final thought?
No, this was a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody, for putting this on. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be restreamed, and I'll see you again very soon. I'm not done with Free Enterprise, and I'll definitely be looking for another push beta race before too long.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing you race some more. Once again, GG, well played, and looking forward to your next.
Thanks. Take care.
That was Rex Raoul. We will be joined by Aegis in just a second, or right now. GG, well played, Aegis.
Oh. Not gonna be a moment, looks like. Or may be continuing to have some computer fun.
Looks like it. We'll see if we can get them in just a moment. Aegis, are you there? Well, Huffin, what did you think of the seed and race tonight?
Well, you know, as we were saying, this could have been absurdly quick or absurdly drawn out, and I have to agree that this was an interesting length for this kind of setup. I personally, I've never actually done a push B to jump run, so I feel like I probably would have run a bit more on that vanilla-ish route, not taking as much advantage of it, but it showed that if you know the options and you know the opportunities, you can do some fascinating things.
Absolutely, and it looks like we are joined by Aegis. Everything worked. And it looks like we're having some technical difficulties with Aegis, trying to see if we can get these sorted as quickly as possible.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
Okay, I was trying to do the push to talk thing and it wasn't letting me. All right, fair enough.
Yep, computers.
So that was a lot of fun. I like the beta jump. It's very cool. You know, I know exactly where I went wrong versus everyone else. Didn't do the underground check for Yang and immediately go to Sheila afterwards. Apparently, that was the thing. Which leads you to Earth, which leads you to Pigtail.
So one thing I'm gonna recommend is go back and watch this VOD and see how other people were making use of that push to jump. It's really incredible some of the stuff you can do that if you haven't run it a bunch, you might not have known.
No, I haven't done it that often. I am kind of irritated though that I know that I can skip the first ordeals fight. The second one you can't skip if you're going up there, and I was making use of the Demon Gene glitch, or grind rather. So I knew I was going to fight that second fight and then the third inside the room, but I meant to skip that and I didn't. And then I'm also a little irritated because in my head I was like, oh, I better get the airship first and then I'll go up and do the keyless tower. But I actually had the levels after doing the grind that I could have just done keyless tower. I even hopped over. I knew it was there. I don't know, for whatever reason I didn't decide to do it. I should have done that, even though it was clearly it wasn't what I should have done. And then of course having those levels, I banked on it being something to do with Fame March because it's never in Fame March, so I figured, this will be the time where it is.
It's never Fame Arch, but still very well played on your end. Any final thoughts on the seed or the flag?
Like you said, I'm just gonna get a little better at the press B to jump. I mean, there are a couple other places I know that it can come in handy. Although with like the shops being standard, the caverns, the waterfall caverns, and a couple other places that I know to use aren't as important. So I mean, if there's looting places that are better, I definitely need to figure those out under less strenuous shop conditions. That said, I mean, the only other thing I probably could have done to go faster was we had a early Eddie. We had the vampires, which I think were somewhere maybe even in the city or something, very early. And I know that people could have done the Zeramus fight with Eddie, and I figured that might have been why people finished early. But I'm not equipped to do that fight yet, so that's something I definitely want to train myself to.
Yeah, there are fascinating Edward strats that are available.
Yeah. I actually find it kind of funny that I typically don't bother with naming Eddie like stuff to like hating on him. This time I did, and of course I find the spoon super early, and I'm like, oh wow.
Well, overall, you ran the seed very well. It just some of the other runners have practiced a lot more of the push B to jump, and you ran a little more standard. Still did an incredible job. Once again, GG, well played, and thank you so much for allowing us to watch your race.
I like community races; they're fun. I'm always probably just going against my own bests or trying to beat myself, rather than trying to go for first. But it is super fun.
It's a great mentality to have.
Yeah.
Once again, GG, well played. And we'll hopefully see you around next time.
Oh yeah, I'll try this one out on Friday just to get more practice with the beta jump and try to do more community races in the future. Thanks, guys. Thanks for helping me get in here too, because it was being weird.
Technical difficulties, they happen. And that was Aegis. Once again, GG to him. Very well played. And with that, you have any final thoughts?
No, other than, as was mentioned, we will be running this same flag set again on Friday's community race. So if you want to see more of it, or if you might want to participate yourself, keep an eye out for that.
And with that, once again, a huge shout out to Dathis, who rolled us once again a lot of vanilla, but our restreamer, and Gambit017 for taking care of the tracking, because us as commentators, we miss things all the time and our trackers keep us in check. And thank you so much for Hupfin for joining me tonight.
Always a pleasure.
And now we are going to send you over to the RPG Valkyries, where I believe it's Silverfire and Zoe Vermillion are making a submission video. So definitely check them out. More free enterprise. I am Baba Skunk. Thank you everyone for tuning in. See you next time.